All right, hello folks. I'm here to show you this. This is my pedalboard, and we did a stream on Patreon couple weeks ago where we built this together, and that was fun. But I know a lot of people still probably don't know what's happening on this pedalboard. So this is just going to be a quick overview of order of what the pedals are, what they might generally do. I'm not going to play a ton. But I'll play a little bit. So I'll show you what's happening. So this is the new pedal board. We're sitting on a Pedal Train Pro, this is the old, I don't think they make these anymore, Pedal Train. Someone can correct me if that's wrong. This is a Pedal Train Pro, and I have it sitting in a custom case. So it's sitting in I don't even remember what company it is. It's a thing that it's sitting in. It's great. I got a Strymon Zuma under here for power, and also a pedal power Mondo under there. So that's how I'm powering all of this. Now, let me tell you about the order of the pedals on this freaking bad boy. So first is the Keeley Compressor Pro up on the top right over here. I've always liked having compressor first. Anytime I turn it off, I think, oh, I don't like my sound as much anymore, so I keep it on. The Keeley is great because I have more fine-tuned control over ratio, attack, and release, and I've got a little LED readout of the gain reduction. That's very helpful to me. So that's helpful at the beginning of my chain. I play very lightly, so this helps keep the volume levels from getting too low or too hot, obviously. So from compressor, we go to a tuner, which, you gotta have the tuner, right? So you go to the tuner, and then we go from the tuner to the Pog 2. Pog 2 has been in my pedal board forever. I've got videos specifically about the Pog 2 on my Patreon. I can do more when people want. So Pog 2 is basically second in the chain. I got a bunch of presets for different octaves that I use all the time. We got just normal octaves, right? Turn the reverb or delay off. You got octave up, right? And you got like a swell. And you got like a swell with no octaves in it. So those are some Pog 2 sounds that I like. Okay, so we got Compressor Pro to Pog 2, and then we go to Superego Plus. So Superego Plus is a pad generator, kind of. It allows me to do this. Freeze chords and stuff for ever and ever and ever and ever. I have control over the attack and decay. I have a filter on here because these frozen chords can get pretty harsh, like that. A ton of other stuff you can do on here with layering and bliss. Very cool to have at the beginning of the chain. So this is a place I can freeze some audio and do some fun stuff. That's third in the chain, right? So I'm gonna turn that off. Next is so we go Superego Plus to the Chase Bliss preamp. And this is pretty new for me. I was using the Old Blood Noise Fault, which is a great pedal, but this is an amazing little guy from Chase Bliss Audio. It's a preamp, so it's overdrive-ish. It's got some fuzz in there. Really great EQ control, bass, mid, treble, and of course it has these moving sliders. See that? Wow, pretty cool. And this is not a gimmick. This is like legit. Sounds amazing, feels amazing, looks amazing. Great pedal. So, beginning of my chain to sort of shape the tone a bit and get dirty or clean or whatever. And so from the preamp here, we then go to the Old Blood Noise Dark Star reverb. This is my early chain reverb that I just powered down by accident by moving it slightly, which is great. Now it won't turn on. Don't know what happened. Awesome. Oh, pressing the wrong button. I'm an idiot. Great. So I use this early chain for pad reverbs, removing the attack on my guitar. I do it with the Pog 2, I do it with the Superego, I do it with Dark Star 2. So you can go from this, you can go from this to hearing all those nice notes, and you go to not hearing the attack. So that's the Dark Star. And then after the Dark Star, we have the Flat Light. Flatlight's a flanger from Old Blood Noise. And I have a couple little tricks I like to do with it. Typically I just like it for a little bit of movement, you know? But then you can also get a little wild. Have it do stuff like that. That's a little trick I'm gonna explain in more detail on Patreon, since this is just an overview. Not gonna go into it, but definitely something I'm gonna post on Patreon very soon about the Flatlight. After the Flatlight, we go to the Demedash T120, which is a videotape echo, like a lo-fi delay. So I always really like to have a analog, very, very modulated delay around this spot in the chain. So a reminder, we're going compressor, tuner, Pog 2, superego, preamp, Dark Star, Flatlight, T120. That's where we're at. So T120 is just a nice delay, right? That's what it sounds like. Really nice modulation. That's why I love it. So I use that for a lot of different things. The warble, the modulation turns into interesting things when it gets recorded and reversed and messed with. Sounds cool. Just some little pizzazz for the old guitar signal. That's all. So I'll turn it down here, and then we go to the El Capistan. So I don't use this as a delay. I use this always as a looper right now. It's always in single mode C. I use it to loop and degrade and go halftime or double time, whatever. So I've got videos on this too on my Patreon. I've had the Capistan forever. It's one of my favorite all-time pedals. So that's the Capistan. And now what happens here with the pedal board is it goes from the El Capistan, it goes over to this, the EHX tri-parallel mixer. I'm going to come back to that in a second, okay? Just know that part one of the pedal board was from compressor to Capistan, right? That's part one. Part two is the mixer. I'm going to skip it for now, and we're going to skip, and I'll come back to it. So part two is the end of the chain. So we go Capistan into parallel mixer. I'm going to tell you in a minute how it works. But then we go out of the parallel mixer into the iridium up here. Strymon iridium. So this is like an amp. This is filtering my sound for a more guitar-like sound and giving me some saturation. I typically use punch mode C on it. It's a Marshall thing, and I always like the way Marshalls sound, but also this gives me a lot of saturation. So, you know, you got a clean signal, but you can also just, I mean, you can get some feedback too. You know, you can really distort. Then you combine it with some, you know, some superego pads or something, and it can be cool to get it all dirty, you know. Anyways, that's a fun thing to do with the iridium. Other than that, it's just an amp, bass, middle, treble, and a little bit of reverb, and that's cool. So some of you might think, why is the iridium not at the very end? And I'll explain to you why right now. So after the iridium, we go to the Chase Bliss Condor, which is an EQ and a preamp, and you might say, wow, why in the world would you have a preamp and a preamp on your board? Why do you have two preamps, especially when they're similar from the same company? Well, this is part one of the pedal board. Has this preamp, and this is my shaping part, right? I'm shaping the tone that's going into all these loopers and recorders here. And then they get combined together at the parallel mixer through an amp in the iridium. And then I have, basically, I like to think about it as like a master bus EQ control. I have EQ control over the entire signal, all the layers, all the things. I can boost or cut mid frequencies. I can ramp them. I can sweep them with my iPad app and with the Chase Bliss stuff that's built into the pedal. I can do low pass and cut some highs. I can cut some lows or boost some lows. And that's super helpful for for what I do. I need to control frequencies and also add some subtle movement to make things sound not boring, is, you know, the thing. So that's the Condor. And then we go to the Meris Polymoon. So we're mono coming out of parallel mixer, we're mono coming out of Iridium, we're mono coming out of Condor, but then Polymoon is where it splits to stereo. Okay, so Polymoon is a delay with a lot of options from Meris. You will see here that I am mono, right? Mono guitar, it's fine. This setting I have on the Polymoon will give me just a straight up ping pong delay. So here's what it sounds like. So it just gives me a bunch of stereo width, and you know, it's possible I could have put this pedal board together such that the Iridium is in stereo and is after this stuff, but I feel like having the big delays and reverbs after the Iridium gives it a little more depth, makes it a little wider, gives the delay and reverb a little more breathing room, I guess, and not so squashed in the mix. So that's why they're there. I like it that way. And then after the Polymoon is the neunaber immerse, which I keep in the wet mode pretty much for just a big stereo reverb at the end. I mean, this is what it sounds like. You can get super long tail, you know, almost infinite. This is still one of my favorite modulated reverbs in pedal form, the neunaber wet algorithm. So that's part 3 of the board. So we have part 1, which is compressor to capistan. Part 3, which is Iridium to immerse. So this is like amp, saturation, EQ, and then stereo effects. And then so the mixer, right? The mixer comes between the capistan and the Iridium. So what I've got in the parallel mixer is 3 parallel loops. And so loop 1 is these 4 knobs here. So we've got a send that goes to the Chase Bliss mood, and then we go out of the mood into the Chase Bliss and Cooper generation loss collaboration pedal, and then back into loop 1. So loop 1 is mood and gen loss together, and I already put a little loop in there. I'm gonna turn it up. So that's just a little something frozen in mood. And you can see gen loss is affecting it. I can filter that sound, high pass, low pass, bit crush it, you know, make it super fluttery. Basically make it very lo-fi. Gen loss can only affect mood though in this setup. I have send and return values, sending to and returning to these pedals, so I have complete volume control. And obviously I can use this return knob here to fade in this signal, you know? I also have the ability to control the volume of gen loss via my iPad, so I can automate some volume movements of just this loop here, which is these 2 pedals. So that's loop 1, mood and gen loss, which is very cool. It tends to be for me kind of like grainy lo-fi sounds on this layer. Loop 2 is just blooper by itself from Chase Bliss Audio again. So it's same thing. I'll turn the return knob up. I've got a little loop going in here. So, and obviously with blooper you can, you know, totally change the audio, mess with it, do fun stuff. I got a filter over here and pitch over on this side. You can make it warbly and seasick a little bit. So that's blooper, and again, I have my own control here. I got return value, return gain, so I can turn it up and down like this. And obviously I've got the mood loop there too. We can bring them together. They should sound kind of cool together. And obviously I've got mix control, how they well, they don't interact, but how they volume-wise work together. So loop 2 is just blooper. Turn those off. And then loop 3, the last piece of this So loop 3 is right here on parallel mixer. We send out to the microcosm from hologram, then goes into the ottobit by Meris, ottobit junior, which is a bit crusher and sequencer, and then back in. So much like the first loop was mood plus gen loss together, this third loop is microcosm plus ottobit. So we get whatever sounds the microcosm does, and we can bit crush it if we want. So here's what that sounds like a bit. I got a thing frozen in microcosm too. I think it's like an octave up reverse kind of ish thing. Feels pretty quiet. Oh, this will sound higher, different mode. Turn it up a bit. So that's just a microcosm thing, and then I can use the ottobit to degrade it a bit, distort it a lot, like that. Do some weird little stutters, like that, and then do like a pitch or filter sequence. So here's a little pitch sequence. So this is ottobit affecting microcosm. And again, the cool thing here is that all these different layers are being summed together in the parallel mixer and then sent through the part 3 of the pedalboard, right? Iridium, condor, polymoon, immerse. So I now have control here over the different layers. Here's the mood layer. Here's the blooper layer. And that's how these kind of loops and layers work here. And you know, maybe the other thing I'll say too is that I've got this capistan looper right before the parallel mixer, and one thing that's very fun is to put a loop in here. This loop will kind of evolve over time because it's degrading, and these, all 3 of these parallel loops here will all be listening to that. And so they can each record, sample it, affect it, and do it separately, right? And even do it, and even record while I'm not hearing it back. So like I can be sending to blooper as I am right now, not hearing the return, so I could hit record right now and do all kinds of stuff, you know, back in the behind the scenes kind of, but in a real-time sense. So that's the pedal board. I guess the last little piece for this overview is that I am MIDI controlling some things. I have plans to control more than these things, but these 3 Chase Bliss pedals, gen loss, mood, blooper, and condor up here are connected via MIDI to this iPad, and there's a MIDI box underneath the board with a Bluetooth MIDI dongle plugged into it, and then I'm connecting my iPad to that Bluetooth MIDI dongle, and then using this ribbon app to control things. So you know, here's this blooper loop, right? Let me see if I can. Oh wow, I wasn't planning on doing this. I'll connect to this MIDI box. Connected to it. Nope. MIDI, Bluetooth. Okay. So like, this is the blooper loop. I can hands-free and wirelessly control the volume of it and sweep it like this. So you see that blue ribbon is now controlling the volume of blooper. And I can use this other blue thing up here to control the pitch of it. This is gonna sound pretty wild, actually. So, there we go. So, that's the overview of the board. There's a lot to do here, and there's a lot to dig into, and there's a lot to say about it more, but that's going to be on Patreon. So if you like this stuff and like this kind of music, you should join it, and I'm going to be posting a lot of my experiments, my things that I'm going for here and how I'm doing it. That's all going to be on Patreon. So that's it. Thanks for watching this video. I would like to make these anytime I do a significant update to the board, and patrons will obviously get far more information regarding that. So join the Patreon if you want, if you're not already. Love to have you. That's all. Thanks for watching. See you later.